For this tab, I was going to start. Usually I start with like the article title and like the writer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I mention the title of the article, it sort of gives away what's funny about it. Not funny, but kind of where the story goes. It's kind of weird. So I think I'm just going to go into it, and then I'll tell you what the article title was at the end, because it basically just gives it away.
Sounds good.
But broadly speaking, this is going to be a tab about the Michelin Guide. You've heard of this?
Yeah. These restaurants are good. Here's some stars.
Yes, exactly. The Michelin Guide, that very same one. It actually has origins that are not about restaurants. I don't know if you knew this or not.
Maybe a little bit.
You did know this, or you did not know this? A little bit. How much do you know about Michelin? Do you know the history of it? Do you know where it started? Do you know who started it?
Michelin sounds French. I'm guessing it might be French.
Ding, ding, ding. Yep.
Oh my gosh. And it had a guy. Their mascot is a big tire man.
Yes.
And it has something to do with the tires, right? Is it the same? I found out that's the same company.
Yeah, that's it. That's my tab. I don't even need to address it anymore. I think you basically...
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Delete that.
No. It's correct. I'm joking. It's not
cool.
No, that would have been the shortest tab imaginable if I was just like, yep, that's it.
Did you know it's French?
That's it. Just paragraphs and paragraphs of "Did you know it's French?" just on repeat, page after page.
It's like, oh, he's lost his mind.
Lost him. When did I ever have it?
That's about all I know about the Michelin guy.
Yeah. So the Michelin Man. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the history of how it started and what led to the context of what this article is about. So.
Cool.
The Michelin company started in 1889 when brothers Andre and Edward Michelin founded their tire company in Clermont-Ferrand, France. They had taken over their father's farm equipment company, and it wasn't doing so hot. It was kind of okay. Like their dad had this company, and they're like, okay, I guess we're running it. We're chilling. We're doing one thing. And then one day, someone with a flat tire on their bike came by and was like, can you fix this tire for me? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? And at that time, changing tires for a bike was kind of a pain in the ass because they were all like glued together and stuff.
Oh.
So you had to like put in some weird like bond loosener thing and then break it off and then like fill the air back up and then like super glue it back together. And so the whole process takes like basically like an evening. Like if you brought it in at like 5 p.m., the guy wouldn't be able to like take his bike back till the next day.
Oh, wow.
And so Edward was sitting there and he was sort of like, this process kind of sucks. It's not very efficient.
And I'm bored of farm equipment.
And I'm bored of farming equipment. And so he's like, somebody ought to build a tire that works. And somebody did. And that's a Simpsons reference. Yay.
Oh.
Do you remember when they go...
It was one of those things where, like, it's in the back of my head. But like I said, at convention, my memory was zapped with COVID. And so I, like, vaguely remember everything, but not fully.
This is important information that you needed to remember.
I know. I'm like, my Simpsons cred is gone.
It's the episode with Hank Scorpio where Homer gets hired to work at that other plant. Remember when he works for the supervillains?
Yes.
And he's watching the video telling them go to the town. And they're like, somebody ought to build a town that works. And then everything like transforms and like the homeless people turn into like post office boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, I really need to rewatch everything and rememorize things because I'm sick of not knowing what you're saying.
I don't know what I'm saying either. That makes two
of
us.
You're always... I re-listened to one of our other episodes and I'm like, so much just went over my head. Like thing after thing. And I'm just sitting there like, like trying to like follow. Anyway.
You're more polite than my wife. Sarah just like is like, yeah, whatever. Can you get to the point? I'm tired of these references that I don't understand. And I'm like, fine. Anyway, so the Michelin brothers, they decided to do something about it. So in 1891, Michelin took out its first patent for a removable pneumatic tire. As you and I were texting yesterday, because you were like, I went down some deep dive, and I'm like, I had to stop myself because I had found some long PDF about like the history of tires and what a pneumatic tire is versus, and I was like, this is not relevant to the story. I need to stop this. But
it kind of is. What is the difference between a
basically
pneumatic tire?
It's just tires with air in them is sort of the extremely condensed version of it. It's not super important to the story, but I just was curious about that, and I'm like, I kind of want to read all about tires and how tires work and do that, but again, self-control.
job.
I decided to scale it back.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm going to go look it up later, but
Yeah, I think I might. I still have the PDF. I didn't delete it.
Of course not.
I'm leaving it in my back pocket. So they make this patent for a removable pneumatic tire, and it's used by a guy named Charles Tarrant to win the world's first long-distance cycle race in the 1981 Paris-Brest-Paris race. And that
1981?
1891.
He spent 100 years.
100 years bicycling. It was not the best tire. It took a really, really, really long time. And by the time he got to the end, he was so old.
He was 100.
He started at 1 year old, which was part of why it took so long, because you're not supposed to, as a newborn, learn how to bicycle.
Yeah.
But he got there eventually. This kind of puts them on the map, and it makes them very popular. They're like, oh, cool, we have this crazy, cool pneumatic tire. It's a great big hit. And initially, they were just doing bike tires, the Michelin brothers.
Okay.
But pretty soon, Eddie and Dre were like, cars are kind of this thing now. They're kind of gaining popularity. Maybe we should get in on the ground floor of that.
They also have tires.
And at the time they started this and they made this decision, it's kind of crazy because in like most of, I think all throughout France, there's only about 3,000 cars on the entire road, like in the whole country.
Oh, wow.
So it's very early on in it. But they had a plan, and this plan was about to gain traction.
Oh my goodness! I'm not giving you that one. I'm not. Good one.
And so they have this plan. They're like, we're going to take this company to the next level. So the first thing they do is they start branding the company. And what do? This is where the Michelin Man comes in.
Yeah, where'd he come from?
I'll tell you exactly where he came from.
Oh, I'm so excited. He's so scary.
He came from, right? It gets insane. It's actually really funny. So I keep calling him Eddie and Dre, by the way. Eddie had seen a stack of tires, and to him it looked like a person without limbs.
Okay.
And he's like, I wonder if there's a there. So in 1898, the Michelins hired a French cartoonist who went by the name O'Gallop. He went by one name. That was his pen name. And when they met, O'Gallop showed them a rejected poster he had made for a Munich brewery, which depicted King Gambrinus, a legendary European culture hero celebrated as an icon of beer, brewing, joviality, and joie de vivre.
Wow. French, right? See, now I've noticed how much I say wow. Ever since I started this podcast, it's like all I do is go, wow. It sounds kind of sarcastic.
You're like Owen Wilson. Wow.
I'm the Owen Wilson of podcasting.
Oh my God, what an honor, honestly.
You need to break my nose so I can also look like him. Please don't break my nose.
No, I have an Owen Wilson action figure right here.
What? Is he sitting on a rubber duck?
He's sitting on the carp. This is the mascot for the baseball team in Hiroshima, the carp. And
I've never seen. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was just so excited that there was an Owen Wilson action figure. This is from Loki that I had to purchase it. I keep him at my desk for inspiration.
Wow. That's a good Owen Wilson.
Wow. Anyway, so this poster, in this poster, the king was shown announcing, it's in Latin, it says, Nunc est bibendum. How is your Latin?
Not good.
Not good. Okay.
No.
So I didn't know if that was like another secret thing that you had. It wasn't so much that I expect you to know it.
Nunc means like nobody or something, or none.
I think it's now. So nunc est bibendum is now it's time to drink. That's what it says on the poster. Yeah. Bibendum is like imbibe, I think.
Yeah.
That was written at the top of the poster. So basically, the Michelins look at this poster and they're like, hell yeah, this is great. Just swap the king out with like our tire dude, and then just like CGI the fish, and let's fast track this one.
Tire dude, limbless tire man.
So they give him limbs.
Oh, they did.
They gave him arms.
I guess so.
Because so if you look at, actually, let me text it to you. This is the original poster, which for our listeners who are not viewers who are listening to the audio form, please go ahead and explain it to them.
Ugh. Oh, he looks like it's like this like overlord made of bike tires coiled up. He's got like glasses on and his mouth is opening, but it's just hollow inside. It's just he's opening up and you can see inside his hollow little tire body. He has a human hand, and he's holding what looks like a salad in a bowl.
And
In
he's
a
got a
cup?
ring on, which means he's married, which I think is very funny.
He is wearing a wedding ring and also a pinky ring, which means he's a douchebag and he's married.
Or a
And
gangster.
Or a gang.
Could
Sure.
be one of those.
Oh my gosh, who's the guy next to him?
I don't actually know what that is, but he looks terrifying.
Oh,
I think these are more tire people.
I don't know. Oh, there's two different tire people. I'm obsessed with this. One of them looks like he has the bubonic plague. He's got those like pustules. Yeah, it's actually really upsetting.
Yeah. So
I don't like
the
it.
reason you don't like it, I'm sorry.
No, I don't like him. I
So
don't trust him.
the glass is not a salad. The glass is actually the cup. It's pieces
Yeah.
of glass and a nail and like nails. So the
Oh.
implication is that this guy could just drink whatever. And so it's like our tires are so awesome that like our tires just drink nails and pieces of glass and we don't give a shit. Like we'll just blast through it because our shit's hardcore.
I love that.
Yeah, it's insane. So we're like, they're like, our Michelin tires will drink up any obstacle on your way. We have a
They would
long
really-
straw.
Genius.
I also love that the thing that heartens me about this story is that this illustrator had done all this work and he made a poster and it got rejected. And then someone else used it and became famous, which that never happens. Think of all the stuff that we've done as illustrators where like I thumbnail something or I present and they're like, no, we don't want this. We want
and I
something
throw
terrible.
it away.
Yeah. So good for this guy. He got it
Yeah.
to be this iconic thing. It's really exciting. It got a second
He got
life.
enough
I'm
money
very
to
happy
maybe
about
pay
that.
for rent one more month.
Yeah, I think he becomes their illustrator for a while. He ends up drawing a bunch
good.
of their Michelin ads. And so the Michelins are like, great. We have a terrifying tire monster who's drinking nails and pieces of glass.
Hardcore.
Hardcore. What's the next step in our conquest for world domination? They're like, how do we get people to buy more tires, right? And so they come up with this plan. They're like, okay, what do we do? They're spitballing. They're like, what about cars with 12 wheels? No, that probably won't work. That seems a little bit strange. What about tires that explode after one use? They're like, that's a little bit dangerous. I don't know. What if we go around slashing tires at night when people are asleep so that they'll be forced to buy new ones? They have to buy ones. They're like, listen, I love the enthusiasm. It's not really a great idea. It's not quite working out. We got to figure out something better. And so they come up with this plan. And it's kind of a genius plan, actually, I have to say. And they realize that if they what about applying psychology to the product? And they decide that cars are now about freedom.
Oh,
Ever
yeah.
heard of it? In America,
No.
It's called freedom.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So it's about the freedom to go anywhere and see anything. And so the Michelins were determined to turn vehicles from a novelty that took drivers to a Sunday picnic to a viable mode of transportation over long distances.
Oh.
And so they began to produce travel guides in the year 1900, starting with a guide to France that was handed out to motorists for free.
Interesting. I see where this is going. This is
Yeah.
cool. Okay.
It's cool, right?
Yeah.
So, and then within a decade, they include road maps. And these books and maps entice drivers to explore the country, making detours to appealing restaurants and staying somewhere overnight to lengthen their travels. So it's like, here's this cool hotel, here's this cool restaurant, here's this awesome whatever, like, this gas station and pharmacy that you can go to. So it's kind of like, for those of you who have only grown up on the internet, it's like a paper blog from 130 years ago.
A blog is also very outdated.
That's true. A paper TikTok. And at this time, like I said, so cars were just kind of becoming a thing. Bikes, of course, were not great for going huge, long distances. And trains could only take you to certain spots, obviously. So the idea was like, take your car, go see this awesome restaurant, go stay in this hotel, go to this place, go to that place. And it essentially catches on and becomes like a pretty popular thing. And of course, the money starts to roll in because people are driving, they're buying Michelin tires, they're getting flats, all kinds of stuff's happening, and it's great. It's very successful. And this continues until World War I.
Oh, okay.
And World War I destroys a lot of things.
It ruins a lot of things. It kind of starts
It ruins
off
a
everything.
lot. It kind of, the entire world is at war.
Yeah.
And
we've kind of been since. Whatever.
Right. Things weren't great. And so World War I, they stop for obvious reasons. They're not really producing anything because no one's able to go to restaurants and do anything.
Right.
And by the time World War I ends, they come back and they sort of take stock of these guides, and they take stock of their company, and they take stock of what the public's sort of relationship with this guide is. And Dre was like, it's still not enough. It needs to be more. We need to really kick this up. We need to really go with a little bit more prestige, and we need to make this thing like kind of undeniably great. So initially, in the earlier versions of it, it came with ads because whoever in the area that you wanted to go see was able to put ads into the Michelin guides. They decide to forgo that. And they say, we're not going to give it away for free. We're going to start charging for them. And I think it starts at around 7 francs at the time, which I didn't look up inflation, but it's not too expensive. But basically, if something's worthwhile, you'll pay for it. Right. And they also start to expand and do all this other stuff with it. So the first thing they do is they take out the ads. Second thing they do is they say, the restaurant section seems to be pretty popular with people. People are really into it. They really like that it's sort of getting them on the road and getting them to go to different places. And what they do is they say, okay, we're going to take the restaurant section and we're going to start like subdividing them into like whatever, different kinds of cuisine and all that. And then they also introduce the star rating. So the Michelin star rating becomes, that's how it starts.
That's where it came from.
It starts with 1 star initially, which is just like, this is a place that we sort of give our stamp of approval that you should go to.
And it's just arbitrary? They're just like, this is good. We like it.
No. So also at this time, they hire, which I didn't know this, but it makes sense. So they hire their first batch of like, I guess there's just like anonymous people that go review the restaurants.
Oh, like critics.
Yeah. And then they report back to the guide. But I guess you're not supposed to know, which makes sense, because if you know that the critic is coming in, you're going to be like, oh, it's like ratatouille. I'm going to make you like the fanciest, best dish imaginable and like go overboard on it.
Bring our best rat chef in.
Bring our best rat chef in to serve you rat poison and food.
Would you eat? Hang on. Here's a question.
Would I eat rat poison?
No.
Yes.
I might too. Just to see what happens. No. Would you eat something prepared by Ratatouille? Not Ratatouille, the rat.
The rat?
His name's Remy.
Remy.
Like with his rat hands. Like if he made Ratatouille with his little rat. You wouldn't?
I don't think I would. Because I don't know. Because he's from the French country. If he had been like a lab rat that was born in lab captivity and was like sterile and clean and like not diseased.
I mean, he'd wash his hands.
Does that get... I don't actually know enough about rat biology to know like how disease... I guess it's only if you get bit by a rat. I don't actually know, right?
I'm asking a question that has no answer.
I don't know. I'm sure somebody who's a listener who loves rats or knows rat biology, please let us know either in the comment section or write us an email, 500opentabs@gmail.com.
If a rat made us dinner, could we eat it?
Could we get poisoned or get the plague or get like a disease from it? Or is it fine as long as it just like sprays his hands with, whatchamacallit?
Well, the stuff. The stuff that they give us. The pandemic. What's it called?
The hand sanitizer.
There we go. There it is. Hand sanitizer.
Or I guess you could make little rat gloves, and then that would prevent it from ever touching. On? I mean, if he's a chef, I assume that he's very good at it.
He's trained.
He's trained. He's going to wear an apron. Yeah, if you can figure out a way where it's sterile and sanitary, I'd be willing to maybe try it.
Rat food made by a rat.
I would try it.
I think I'd eat the whole thing. I love rats.
You would eat rat food as well?
Absolutely not.
No, you wouldn't. I don't mean, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Cuisine prepared by a rat.
I was like, I'm not eating rat food. Yeah, I would. If it was made by a rat that I raised. Okay, we have to be done. Okay, I have to be done with this. Go. Please continue.
So this is when, like I said, so just to sort of recap, they introduced the star rating, they introduced the ratings, they introduced the anonymous group of people who go around reviewing the restaurants throughout Europe. They didn't start introducing 3 stars until 1931. That's when that became a thing. So it's like the different levels of it. Which, again, this is not about the star ratings. That's not important here for this story. But so it basically started to really blow up. And in addition to that, they started to get a lot of money for it. And they're like, okay, things are getting real. People are liking these restaurants. This map section that we have, let's go like hardcore on this too. So what they start to do is they start to hire some of Europe's best cartographers. And then updating it every year. So every year, the best cartographers in all of Europe are like taking track of Europe. They're keeping, because there's no Google Maps, right? There's no like weird automated car going around, driving around, updating it. Somebody actually had to go and like look and draw it on and then be like, okay, well, there's this new hill here that they built from this or whatever.
That'd be
And
a fun
every year
job.
they would update it. I think it would be a lot of fun. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think these days you can't do it, unfortunately, but at that time it was a lot of fun to go around and do it and you're drawing and seeing stuff. And it became a serious thing, and it became very prestigious. And it was, I mean, at this point when we were kids, it would have been the Thomas Guide, right? That's what we would look at before. But in Europe at the time,
across the dashboard, parents arguing while you sit in the back waiting for them to figure out where to
fighting. Go. So these maps become very important. And guess who likes these maps as well, in addition to everybody who has cars and stuff?
The restaurants?
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
It's a group of people who are dickless and fascists, and they're murderers, and they suck,
Nazis?
and they're led...
Not the Nazis! Oh.
So this is a rumor, I should say. I couldn't find any like substantial specific. Some people said this in like random stuff, but I didn't find like an article that specifically like can source this. But I think it's safe to assume that it's probably true.
Yeah, they do like very orderly,
orderly maps and stuff.
And...
Yeah, and they're like, hey, how do we? These are really good. These are really good maps, and these are really good guides. We should use them to aid us in committing some of the worst atrocities in the history of humanity because we are scum.
Oh, no. This just took such a turn. Okay.
Dark turn. This is the rumor. The rumor is that they use these guides as a way to sort of take over the rest of Europe. I can't confirm this. I'm sure it's written in a World War II book of something somewhere, but I didn't find any like internet-ready, what's the word I'm thinking, source about it.
Right. Oh, I'm sure. I mean, if it was there, they used it. That's
I'm
the
sure.
thing.
Yeah, I doubt that they wouldn't have just used it, especially because, like you said, it's so OCD already and like already has enough prestige and is very good. It wouldn't have made sense for them to send out their own scouts to like redo it if they already had something.
Right.
Anyway, so these pieces of shit who should all be dead and people should not listen to them, especially now. I can't believe they're back ever.
I cannot believe they're back. And people are like, this sounds pretty good. It's like,
just die. I hate you.
The Nazis should have died a long time ago. Anyway.
Yes. These
controversial opinion.
Yeah, hot take.
Hot take. We don't like Nazis here at 500 Open Tabs. And we think they shouldn't exploit the Michelin maps.
Yes.
I'm making that my platform.
Yes. So they're trucking along, being awful, ruining humanity. Until 1941, when your boy, what was his name, Nishikaichi, he comes in and bombs.
Bombs Pearl Harbor.
Bombs Pearl Harbor by himself, and then America enters World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So when America enters World War II, shit gets real, right? Now America's in it.
Yeah,
and they're getting hype. They're like, they're building whatever ships. They're changing all the factories to make other stuff.
Making all the women build the ships,
Making all the women, putting all the Japanese people in jail and destroying their lives.
For no reason besides
For no
fear.
reason.
Yeah.
They're
all the things we're good at. All the things we're good at.
Yeah. Oppenheimer is out there competing with Barbie to make the first Mojo Dojo nuclear bomb. It's a wild time. And as they're doing all this, they start to plan the D-Day invasion. And the Americans do.
Yep.
So, according to the intel, the Nazis, in addition to being horrible pieces of shit who should all be dead at all time throughout humanity and throughout the history of the human race, they had started, especially now, they started to tear down road signs in an attempt to confuse people who come into Europe and different countries. Basically, remember in like the old Looney Tunes cartoons where they would like tear down the road sign and be like, the road goes this way, but it actually like sends you off a cliff. That's what these idiots started doing.
Did it work?
And they were like, people who came to France if they didn't know what France was and they didn't know the road signs, then they would have no idea where anything is and be able to get around. And they realized that this would be a problem for Americans who are storming the beaches of Normandy and coming into France. Because number one, Americans are already bad about leaving America in the first place.
Yeah.
And number two, men don't want to ask for directions, famously.
No.
And, also, they're not going to be excited to go to France. They're like, ew, escargot, gross. I'll have a cheeseburger.
I just want hot dogs. Just going down my throat.
Burgers and hot dogs. That's all we want.
Yeah.
Much like what had happened during World War I, the Michelin Guide had not been printed for a few years. Basically,
Oh, right.
1939 was the last year they had printed the most recent edition.
Well, wasn't
because,
that
of
when
course,
France was taken over, 1939?
I
Probably why they
believe-
stopped.
Yeah, that
Doesn't
sounds
matter.
right. No. It's a good question. I think that's probably the reason why. Yeah, it all blends together to me for like 39, 40, 41, 38. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, of course I am. I can't think.
Okay.
I can't think if I don't.
No, it's okay. It's a good question. I assume that's a good extrapolation to make, though.
Oh, 1940, May 10th. So they must have just been like, things are getting real. Can't print this anymore.
Can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And the Nazis were like, yoink, we'll take it over.
And as they cartoonishly unscrew a sign and put it on upside down.
Yeah. Ooh, we're Nazis. Look at how cool we are.
Look how evil. Actually, they're extremely evil.
They are.
They're
and
horrible.
they're dumb.
Stupid.
And awful. Anyway,
And we should punch all of them.
We should punch Nazis. So 1939 was the last year that they put out the Michelin Guide.
Okay.
And in order to make sure that the D-Day invasion and the liberation of France would be a success, the U.S. government approached the Michelin Corporation because I guess they had somebody in the States or something, and they were like, listen, we're about to go in and get slaughtered, and we don't know what any of these signs are. We're going to need you guys to reprint the guide.
No way.
And so Michelin's like, thumbs up, hell yeah, screw the Nazis, let's do it.
Yes.
So they do it. They reprint the 1939 edition, and I couldn't find out exactly who got them. I assume a lot of soldiers got them because they're all going to need guides. It's not just like, oh, sorry, like only your sergeant has this. I feel like everybody probably would have gotten one.
Dude, so off topic, kind of, not really. My husband's grandpa was there. He
On D-Day?
He helped liberate France. And now I'm like,
You should ask him.
oh,
if he's still alive?
super
He's
dead.
long dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rest in peace, Bob. He was awesome. But I wonder if he has like, we have some of his old like World War II stuff.
Oh, that would be so crazy.
Maybe I'll ask his children if what if he had one? That'd be so cool.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. So on June 6th, 1944, Allied forces carried their handy tourism guides with them across the beaches of Normandy.
Wow.
So literally, I know you haven't seen it, but I'm assuming you are at least aware of Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, and I get it. I know what it's about.
So like the opening of Saving Private Ryan, that horrific scene where they're storming the beach, they've all theoretically got like Michelin guides in their backpacks.
Can't wait to eat at this restaurant after this.
Of course, they take over they win that battle, and they use these guides all the way to Paris. What? And then Paris is liberated on August 25th, 1944. And on that day, Michelin's Boulevard of Itineraries went back to work because they had been liberated.
Okay, that's wild. I didn't even
crazy?
know. Yeah.
And this time they were cranking out maps of northern France, Belgium, and Germany for the Allies to use. So this continues, and they end up aiding the Allies as they work their way across Europe to try to kill the loser dickhead dropout who sucks and killed himself because he's a giant coward.
I've never heard him described as a dropout until now. And on behalf of dropouts, we're not all like that. But absolutely, he's a dropout. He's an art school dropout.
Couldn't hack it. He
No,
would
and
not
you know
be
what?
welcome on our podcast.
So am I, and I didn't.
You didn't
Kill 11
destroy
million
Europe
people.
and commit genocide as a result of it. Go to therapy. Postscript. We won World War II and the Nazis lost because they're wrong and stupid and should all be dead.
And
Hot
it
take.
should be left at that.
Yes.
So, and no genocide. Anyway, go on.
Anyway, so that's basically more or less where I wasn't going to go like too much into the entire history of the Michelin Guide, but I just thought it was funny that they straight up it
Helped
led to
us
that
win?
point. Helped us win. They also helped the Nazis win initially, but totally
Ooh,
unintentionally. So Michelin, I should be clear, Michelin didn't help them deliberately in any way.
Right.
It just was like an unfortunate circumstance that happened as a result of them
they
making this awesome map.
Were on the right side of history.
They were on the correct side of history.
Wow. I'd love to get my hands on like an original, like a
Oh, it would be
1939
so cool to see.
copy.
Yeah. So
Dude,
I added
that
this.
was exciting.
I added this one little thing because I just wanted to have this pun of miscellaneous facts.
So dumb. Okay.
In regards to what you're talking about the guide, the first one is, today there are only a few distinctions that separate an original 1939 Michelin guide to those reprinted by the U.S. War Department of the Allied invasion of Europe. The American reprint is tinted slightly red, there is no tire insert, and the cover is stamped for official use only.
I want one.
Me too. I desperately want one.
So
if you have one, send them to us.
I'm gonna ask my husband's family if somewhere in some boxes there might be some stuff.
Imagine if they had it. That would be so crazy. I would melt down.
My husband inherited his first aid kit that was like given out, and then his canteen, like those ones you. And we have that on our bookshelf, but man, I want one of those Michelin guides.
Amazing to see it. It's a piece of history. A couple more miscellaneous facts. I was very proud of it.
I'll give you it.
The Michelin Man is white because tires used to be all white.
I was going to say, why does he look like that?
He's literally a pile of white tires, and that's why he looks like that. He initially also had a monocle and was always drawn with a drink in his hand until eventually they realized, oh yeah, drinking and driving probably isn't a good idea for us to be promoting.
But drinking nails and
tires.
Glass and driving.
I'm sorry, nails and glass. Yeah, that's acceptable apparently. But not drinking and driving.
That's so funny.
One thing, just one more insane thing to show you, which this was my favorite poster, which I kind of want like a real copy of this because it's unhinged. But why don't you describe to the people what this poster looks like?
What? Okay. All right. So how do I start with this? It looks like somebody in their old-fashioned car has broken down, and the Michelin Man with a gigantic cigar hanging out of his mouth is like offering up his stomach area where the dude who is driving the car is like, thank you, and he's like taking out one of the tires from the middle of his stomach, and everyone's happy. The kids are watching. The wife is like, ooh, and the husband is just delighted, and he's, Michelin Man is happy with his sacrifice. He still has human hands.
He does. He's like, got a spare? Check it out. Just take it out of my rib cage. Yeah.
And the way he's like kind of thrusting a little bit is he's doing his job. And
this is amazing, though. I love this poster. I love all the old totally insane Michelin
one of
posters.
These for you.
Yeah. They're amazing.
And it's funny because he has so many tires. He's made of so many tires.
So many tires, right? It's just like a stack of them.
Do you know why the tires were white? Is it just the color of the rubber or what?
That's a good question. I guess so. I actually don't know. I didn't look into that. I couldn't tell you. But if anybody knows, let us know.
Yeah.
Lastly, this part was cool. I didn't know. The word tire is a short form of attire. You like clothing? Like attire? Like your clothing?
Really?
From the idea that a wheel with a tire is a dressed wheel.
Weird. What? So why does they spell it differently in the UK?
Tyre.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's your department. You're the entomologist. No, you're the etymology person. Etymologist. You're the one who knows all that stuff. I'm not good with language. I'm good with story, but not with languagey stuff.
I'm not looking it up.
You're not.
Seriously.
While you're looking it up, I'll give you one last fun fact, which is after we liberated Europe and I should say not we, but the Allies liberated Europe and World War II was over, they published another Michelin guide, I think 2 weeks later.
Oh, whoa.
So they're like, yeah, not everything's up to date, obviously, because half of Europe's destroyed, but here it is. So some people had gone to some restaurants during World War II, which I couldn't find more information about this, but I'm sort of fascinated to be like, what the hell was that about?
What were they doing?
I don't know. I have no idea. But for a time after World War II, they didn't do 3 stars. They only did 2 stars because they assumed correctly that restaurants in Europe aren't going to be able to get up to a 3-star rating with the quality of excellence because, as I said, everything's been destroyed. So I think it didn't come back till either the late 50s, early 60s, somewhere around there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
so
then
they give them a chance to rebuild.
Yes. So for a while, they're like, we'll let it slide for a little bit, but eventually you're going to have to bring it back up.
Wow. There it is again. Wow.
Wow.
Let me try something different. Interesting. That's fascinating.
Thus, that was my tab.
Oh, that was a wild ride.
Wasn't it cool?
Ride. A car ride.
I gotcha.
I know. I needed to make sure.
I didn't actually get it right away. You had to say it the second time for me to get it.
Okay. Then I feel better.
Yes. I'm just not very perceptive.
Neither
That's
am
all
I.
this came down to. It's perfect. We work out.
Yeah.
We work great as a team.
We make a good team. I'm only perceptive in ways that don't matter.
Yeah.
Like listening to every conversation in the room, I'm like, oh, interesting.
Interesting.
But then when someone's like, my name is this, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Deleted immediately.
Immediately deleted.
Immediately
thrown
deleted
away.
from my brain. Yeah. Doesn't matter. I don't need to know this.
No. Look at us. We're doing good.
We're doing great. Anyway.
Well,
yeah. Any other thoughts on Michelin?
I just love that the tire company is also a restaurant rater. Like they also
It's
rate
genius.
restaurants.
It's
like,
genius.
But when you spell it out, it makes sense because it's like, yeah, you can tell you're going to be driving around a restaurant. It's like Yelp, but like with a big scary tire man and paper.
Which I think you and I need to come up with a business idea like that because we can basically make a rival guide because where do people listen to podcasts? When they're driving or when they're walking or when they're going to places. So we should come up with a guide of like stupid crap for people to go see. And then it's far away and it takes them a while to get there. So they have to listen to 500 Open Tabs, this podcast.
That's actually kind of a good idea.
We should do it. We should come up with a dumb Michelin guide.
Like a road 500 open guides? No.
Guides? That could work. 500 open places to go. What would our rating be? We wouldn't have stars. We would have to have tabs.
We'd have
I don't know.
wows. Wow. That gets 2 wows.
Wows.
Actually, that could be fun because I love reading about crap on the road. Like, if I'm driving, I go to roadsideamerica.com and I'm like, that's a giant chair I'm going to go sit in. Have you ever been there?
No. The giant chair or to roadsideamerica.com?
America is filled with giant things that shouldn't be giant.
That sounds like America.
They're everywhere. It does sound like America. They're everywhere. Like, there's a giant ball of yarn.
That sounds fun. Sounds like a lot of cats would like it. No.
I don't know anything about cats.
Yeah. Have you ever drawn a cat before?
No. I drew 89, by the way. I finally counted it up.
Oh my God.
89.
That's a lot.
In 4 days. Woo. Yeah. And for the first time ever, I think you were there. You were there for all of this. Remember when I was like, I think I'm sick of these.
I don't want to draw cats anymore is what you kept saying, yeah.
But I'm fine now. Anyway, yeah, that's a good idea.
Guide, yeah. 500 open guides. I don't know. We're going to have to work on that name. We're going to work something out. But I think that's going to be our business idea to get more people to listen to the podcast and all the episodes.